And we are live. Hey, everybody. I hope you're having a great day. I am over and I'm going to tell you about where I'm at in just a few minutes. A little bit of a different backdrop today. That's not a skin. I'm not reconnecting with my, 2% Cherokee blood heritage. I'm actually over in one of the office rooms at the City of Eagle. So if you guys are familiar with the Boise area, the City of Eagle, Idaho is definitely one of the higher end parts of this southern Idaho. So we'll put it this way, a lot of California money floating around here. So I'm down here at the City of Eagle today, checking out. I've got a um, checklist for submitting permits for a new residential building addition. I'll talk a little bit about that in just a minute. But before I get too carried away with what I'm doing and where I'm at today, I wanted to give you guys a chance to jump in and comment on where you're at. So, where are you at geographically? What are you working on today? Make sure you post in the comments. I'm always checking here to make sure you guys are hearing me okay. So that lets me know that you guys are with me. So if you're here watching live right now, go ahead, or even if you're watching later on a replay, go ahead and just drop in the comments so other people can see you guys. Because I know there's been connections that have been made from these Tuesday Talks conversations where somebody's seen something that someone posted in the comments, and then it turns out that somebody else watching later actually had a solution. So if you guys are watching right now and you can hear me okay, then go ahead and make a post in the comments section wherever you're at, and let us know where you're watching from and what you're working on today. Okay, so you guys do that for me while I am looking up something real quickly. I wanted to pull up one thing before I jump in. So you guys, I'm not seeing anybody comment here, so maybe you guys can't hear me. I want to somebody give me a thumbs up or something in the comment section so I know you guys can actually hear me. Give me something there. Give me a little bit of feedback. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I know I'm connecting. Okay. There's Peggy. Okay, Peggy says she's watching from Portland, Oregon. Of course you are, Peggy. Thank you for doing that. Now I know you guys can hear. Thank you very much, Peggy. Appreciate you. I'm going to look at something real quickly, and I want to ask if you guys have heard this. I know I mentioned this not too long ago, but um, so there's a couple of things. Okay, cool. Andy's on. He can hear us. Perfect. So wanted to just kind of go ahead and back up what I think we mentioned this last week, guys, which is the interest rates don't look like they're going to be going down anytime soon. So interest rates, of course, the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. He's the one who kind of gets to be the at least the voice for the Federal Reserve, and excuse me, he's actually the one who people either love him or hate him, and these are people that most of us don't really pay much attention to. Most people, I should say, don't pay much attention to. But it's amazing how much influence, how much power these guys yield over the economy. And so I was just looking at a couple of articles. Man, I got an itch on my nose. Don't you hate when that happens? You got an itch in your nose and just it's always right when you're going live or whatever. So the question that came up is last week was, have you guys heard anything about interest rates going down? That's what everybody would supposedly want to see happen. Is we want to see interest rates for mortgage loans to go down. Therefore, people can get out there and start buying again. And I'm just going to tell you guys, it almost feels like we're being told two things at the same time. And you guys comment if you agree or disagree. But it seems like on one hand you see an article or you'll see a little blurb about Trump is pushing to cut the interest rates. He's relentless pressure on. I'll read a headline here. Here's a Wall Street Journal. Trump relentless in pressuring to lower interest rates. Here's another one, CBS News. Federal Chair Jerome Powell holds firm on interest rates, resisting pressure to cut. Then you got another one here. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell testifies amid Trump's attacks over interest rates. So Trump is saying one thing, the Fed is pushing back, Here's another one. The BBC. Will the interest rates go down again? And if they do, how will it affect the mortgages? So I'm saying that there's one that came out here, CNBC. Again, kind of more business focused. Federal Governor Waller says central bank could cut interest rates. Now listen to this. This is how I'm just going to pull it up here, guys. So this is the kind of stuff that we have to try to figure out, right? We're trying to do business with this. Look at that. We're trying to do business with things like the Federal Reserve saying that the central bank could cut rates as early as July. Now, again, cut rates, it could be such a small fractional amount that it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But the question that comes up is for us on the business end, for those of us that are in real estate, do we wait to buy a deal right now until you actually have confirmation that the interest rates are going to go down, or do you continue to move forward? I'd love to hear from you guys if you don't mind. I don't know if some of you are looking at the possibility of maybe purchasing, refinancing, and just saying, hey, what exactly is going on, guys? If you absolutely are looking to buy real estate right now, what the Federal Reserve does is going to have a major impact on things like, do you wait? Because if you lock in a loan right now and you close on it, and then literally a month later, the interest rates get lowered by the Federal Reserve, and now, you could be paying hundreds of dollars. What that translates to is hundreds of dollars less on your mortgage, on your, maybe it's a personal property, maybe it's a refinance, maybe it's you're picking up an investment property, another rental. All that stuff really matters. So it feels like, and I could be wrong, but it feels like we're in a little bit of a state of limbo still. Would you agree? Type in limbo if you're here, and you can hear in the comments, and you can hear me. I just want to see, make sure you guys can still hear me. Type in limbo if that's what it feels like right now. Just type that in, LIMBO, limbo. If you guys are in the real estate investing world, it does kind of feel like we're in limbo right now. Yeah, I see it, Tyler. Yep. Neymar says limbo. Tyler's saying limbo. Peggy's, yeah. So we're all feeling the same way, right? Guys, I get it. Like, I'm in the same boat as you guys are. We're all in this thing together. So here's what I have been doing. I told a couple of people I was going to talk about what I'm doing. So I'm doing a couple of different things. Number one, I'm focusing on well, let me ask you this. You guys know that there's a difference between two different kinds of money, okay? So there's today money in real estate, and there's tomorrow money, right? Today money is transactional. Tomorrow money is passive, right? You guys get that? If you guys get that, give me a thumbs up. Give me some love. Give me some feedback. If you guys understand, yes. All right. And Neymar says, yes, today money, tomorrow money. Yes, exactly. So Neymar's getting it, okay? Guys, the reality is that today money is what we need to live, right? We get that. Tomorrow money is what makes you an actual real estate investor. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is flipping, wholesaling, JVing. That's more or less transactional funding. It's transactional deals. It's even lending, like some of you guys are doing gator lending, where you're lending money on earnest money, and then you get that money back with a big chunk if they close the deal. Today money is almost always going to be strictly transactional. And here's the thing is, people talk about, well, you're not really a real estate investor unless you have passive income flow, which I actually agree with that. I've actually said that myself before. I think that real estate investors are people that have money that is parked in real estate, or they have acquired real estate that is actually producing money every month coming into their mailbox. You hear it referred to as pocket money, mailbox money. Pace Morby will talk about cash in the pocket, right? You guys, I represent my Pace Day with Pace shirt here. Most of you guys know I've been learning from Pace since early 2020, before there even was a sub 2, before Owners Club or anything like that. I'm in Owners Club. I'm in Jamil Damji's group. I'm in Brent Daniels, Jerry Norton's. You name the group, I'm probably a member there. So I've been saying some of these things that you guys hear other people say. I haven't heard any of them quote me yet, but it's going to happen, right? Just teasing. Hey, listen, we're all learning from each other, right? So, but one of the things I've said before, and I don't apologize for it, is that real estate investors are people that have money parked in real estate that is making them passive money, mailbox money, pocket money, cash in the pocket, cash in hand every single month or every quarter or every year, whether they're actually actively working on that property or flipping it or not. Okay, so this is typically going to be rental properties, right? Mailbox money is typically going to come from rental properties, whether they're commercial, residential, or like an RV park. You hear people talking about that right now, mobile home park. We get it, right? So today money is going to come from doing stuff like wholesales or flips. Even a flip, yes, even a flip, I personally classify not as a real estate investment, but as a transactional deal. It's a transactional interchange, right? You're going to go use cash, whether it's your own or it's other OPM, other people's money. You're going to use cash to pick up a property that you got low enough and has a big enough margin that even after you do the repairs, you're going to get it out there, get it on the market, get it sold. You're going to make money on it. So your intention when you do a flip is not to hold the property. Your intention is to flip the property, make money back, right? You get that. Okay, so what am I doing today? I just want to talk about this today because some people are like, what are you doing, John? Well, first of all, you can't, at least most of the people watching this, most of us guys, if you're in this boat with me, give me a 1 in the comments. Give me a 1 in the comments if you are not quite there in life yet where you can just set it and forget it. Where you don't have to worry about today money. Let me just, if that's you, if you're with me in this boat and we're in this thing together, give me a 1 in the comments. If you're one of those people who can't just say, I'm just going to dump a bunch of money in this thing and I'm just going to go live life and life is going to be good whether I'm actively working on anything or not. Most of us are in that boat, right? I see everybody's, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Peggy's like, yeah, not quite there yet. Okay. Tyler's giving us a 1. Neymar's a 1. Perfect. So we're in the same boat together. Okay. So what am I doing? Because I'm in this boat with you guys. Okay. I might be a couple of steps ahead, or I might be in a couple of seats ahead of you guys, but we're all in the same boat together. For most of us, we have not arrived at the place where we are actively calling ourselves real estate investors, even though we talk about REI and we're involved in real estate investing. We're not necessarily out there living off of the money that our investments are giving us. So for today money, I am still, and I'm just going to say it, and some of you guys, you can ask questions if you want to, but I am still actively pursuing almost every single day, for sure, multiple times a week, I'm actively pursuing pre-foreclosure deals. Why pre-foreclosure? Okay. Well, somebody answer me this question. Why would I be out knocking on doors, sending flyers, making phone calls to people that are in pre-foreclosure? Some of you guys know the answer to this. I want to see what let's watch the comments here, see what our feedback is. Why in the world should somebody, if they're like, hey, I want to get started and make some today money, like right here, right now, today money, absolutely. Tyler says distress, okay? Distress translates to what Peggy says, motivated. Absolutely correct. Okay. So remember, when it comes to today money, when it comes to making money on transactional money, quick, fast, in a hurry, we typically want to work with people who are highly motivated. Absolutely correct, Peggy. Good job. And the people that are going to be the most highly motivated are going to be people that are in the highest level of distress, right? Think about it. If you have a big gaping, hole in your arm, and it's bleeding and there's bones hanging out and everything, then you are probably highly motivated to get to an emergency room, right? You need a solution and you need it now. Like you don't have time to go make an appointment and schedule a doctor's visit, 6 weeks from now with your family, MD. You need somebody. It doesn't even really matter who it is. I've yet to hear of. I actually have a couple friends who worked in the ER. I have yet to hear of anybody who, when they come into the emergency room, they're like, before you treat this hole in my arm, before you treat this broken arm with my bone sticking out, I'd like to see your credentials. Okay. You guys get what I'm saying? So when you use that kind of that thought process, most people do not necessarily care, who you are, what you know about real estate. All they know is you say you can fix their problem, and you show up on their front door with a flyer or something like that, and you can actually help them. Those type of people are typically going to be the easy. Shouldn't say the easiest, but I definitely say someone who you could probably work with and get into a contract with the fastest. Okay. Now, how exactly am I doing that? So I told you that's what I'm doing. So I go out, and by the way, you guys, I know Tyler's on here. Tyler has letters that he sends out. I personally have a flyer, and I drop these flyers off as on the front porch with a handwritten note. So I'm telling you guys what I'm doing, okay, for Today Money. I have this flyer. I actually showed this at the PDX REI group meetup last Thursday. We did our in-person meetup. Guys, by the way, guys, if you're not coming out to our third Thursday in-person meetups in Portland, and you're in the Portland area, then, shame on you. I don't know what to tell you. You guys got to get out to these meetups. We had a great time. I know Peggy was there. John George was there. We got a bunch of people that are from the PDX REI group that were there. So if you guys are in Portland, please plan on coming out every third Thursday to the PDX REI group meetup. But this is a flyer. I showed this to everybody. I've got this big, huge flyer right now. It's gigantic. You don't have to get one this big, okay? But this thing, you can see, I mean, here's like a, here's my phone. You can see like this thing is like gigantic, right? So see that comparison? This is a gigantic flyer, and obviously you can see the vivid color. Now I just did color on one side. I did, to save some cost, I did black and white on the back. But I just had this little message, right? And it's personal. So it's, and by the way, you guys' messages should be personal as well, okay? So here's this little message, and what I do is I have this little message about myself and how me personally in 2008, 2009, I came really, really close to getting my house foreclosed on me. This is back before I knew anything about real estate. I was just a construction guy who owned a house, and that house ended up in foreclosure because all the construction work went away overnight. Okay, so I have this little story, and then on the back I have this thing like questions you might have. Is this a scam? No. Are there hidden fees? No. Is there a realtor's commission? No. Do I have to clean up the house? No. Questions we get all the time. I've fallen behind on payments. Can my credit be saved? Yes. The bank is foreclosing. Do we have options? Yes. Okay. So the house needs repairs. Do you buy as is? Yes. So I kind of have this thing. By the way, if you guys want to use this, I don't know if you want to take a screenshot or something, but I'll just go ahead and hold that up there for a second. If you guys want to use this, feel free to use this as a template. Certainly have no problem at all with you guys using this, because here's the thing. There's so many deals out there. I'm not worried about you taking my deals, and I'm not worried about me taking your deals. In fact, I would love for you guys, for us to work together, okay? Because in my opinion, cooperation helps the operation, right? Collaboration beats competition. Some of you guys are new, you're getting started. I know Tyler's been out there. Let's see, Neymar says, can you show the template again? Yeah, absolutely, Neymar. Really, the main thing is I just kind of want to give you guys an idea of what some of the questions are there. So take a look there, take a screenshot. And so to kind of give you an idea of what kind of things you want to speak to, right? Because remember, with a distressed seller, you want to be able to speak to the fact that their pain, right? You understand where they're coming from. If you can, you want to answer those questions that are causing them stress, right? You want to give them a chance to let them see that you know what they're going through. So, by the way, is my screen kind of, I don't know, can you guys tell me, is on your end, is the screen kind of like hazy? Is it just me, or is it like that? Let's see. You guys let me know. This is live. This is live, right? Because we're just doing this right now. I'm going to go ahead and clean. I feel like the screen might be a little bit hazy. Maybe I had something on does that do better? I think that feels better. It might just be the lighting in this room too. I'm gonna talk about where I'm at here in a minute, because this where I'm at right now, where I'm currently physically sitting in this room. has more to do with tomorrow money. Okay. But I have this and I have, and it doesn't matter. Literally, guys, I'm telling you, you guys can literally do this with, kind of just a little a pamphlet like this, a trifold, just go through and don't give me excuses, guys, because we live in the day and age of AI. Okay, so you have ChatGPT to help you. I made this all on my own. I kind of wrote out what I wanted. Then I had to send out a template to the Philippines and have a VA put it together in the design. And then, long story short, it's not exactly what I wanted, but I got it done. I had it. I'm telling you guys, it doesn't matter how nice it is. You could have a business card, okay? But the main thing is have some form of written content that you either send directly to their mailbox or you post on their front door, okay? And again, where do you find these pre-foreclosure type of deals? You would you either buy a list of pre-foreclosure deals in your area or the area that you're wanting to buy, or you can go onto PropStream, you can go to PropWire. If you guys don't have a PropStream account, let me know. I can get you a code, get you 7 days for free. But Peggy says she has one from Vistaprint. That's absolutely perfect. Yep, you can get these things printed online. The point is get some kind of a design, some kind of written format. A lot of times, guys, if I'm somewhere and I almost always have a handful of these in the car. But if I'm somewhere and I don't have one of those with me, but I come across a deal, whether it's driving for dollars or whether it's a pre-foreclosure list, I have a little notepad in my, like a sticky note. I will go through a sticky note and a Sharpie. I'll just write something on the front like, hey, I can help you with the trouble you're having with your bank. Or, hey, don't let the bank win. I'll write something like that on there, okay? And I will go and I'll stick that on the front door. Of course, I'll knock. And some of you guys are terrified. By the way, I'm just going to know, let's do a quick poll, okay? Quick poll. Who is terrified of knocking on someone's door, and who is like, no, I love knocking on doors. I love that kind of stuff. I just like to see who do I have here? Who is absolutely terrified to knock on someone's door, and who doesn't care at all? Like I just kind of get excited. Anybody like that? Peggy says she has a door hanger. She says Pace. Neymar says I love knocking on doors. Neymar is my kind of people. Right on. Yes, Peggy says, I love to TTP. I love to talk to people. Brent Daniel there coming through. Peggy says, Pace does a paper plate. That's absolutely effective. Guys, what I'm trying to tell you is you don't need something fancy like this. I did something like this because I wanted to have something that I could mail as well as leave in the front door, and it was impossible to miss, right? That's why I did this thing so big and with such bright coloring, because I wanted to make sure that it was something that wouldn't get missed. But the point is, if you guys have a list and you go out and you knock on doors, you just drop these things off and you do that consistently and you do it with enough doors, I promise you, you will get a call back. You will get somebody that wants to work with you. I'll give you a quick example of doing this just this last week. Today's Tuesday, of course, Tuesday Talks. Last week on Wednesday, so almost a week ago now, tomorrow, I had my list of about 6 pre-foreclosures in the area that I'm working on. I've got a property I'm working on right now, kind of a soft flip that I'm doing in Nampa, Idaho. And so in that area, I just pull up what's around me, what's in pre-foreclosure around me. And I make sure that when I leave the job site and I'm headed back to the office or headed home, I make sure that I stop at 3 or 4 of these pre-foreclosures. And I don't care if my route goes like this. It's just kind of in the general direction of where I'm going, right? I will make sure I hit every pre-foreclosure I can along the way, and I will drop one of these off. And so I went there last week. I told you guys about this on Thursday night at the PDX REI group meetup. I had one that the people want to sell the house to me. That if they could sign the papers today, they would, but they are already in contract with a local wholesaler in my area here. That is, frankly, I don't think he's doing them very well. I don't think he's treating them right. So I'm kind of working with them, but it's like it's a 50-50 chance it could go through with their guy or that they already signed with, or I could end up getting the deal. The other house that I knocked on, nobody was home. Kind of took a peek through the window. Yeah, I'm taking a chance, but some houses you can just tell there's nobody there. So I took a peek through the window. Clearly it's vacant. I did a quick little skip trace. By the way, I'm telling you guys what I use. Okay, so if you have PropStream, you could skip trace with that. But one thing that I use that I just want to show you guys, if you just want to get a free list, and then instead of paying for all the add-ons, you can get something called bin verified. Okay, so on bin verified, I can pull up pretty much any address, and then I can let me just give you guys an example of one that I'm here at the county with. 3670. Okay, so I've got a property that I'm working on right now that I think would make for a good long-term property. So I'm going to pull this up right now. I'm going to go I'll block out okay, I'm going to block out the actual address, but right now it's searching. I put in the address. It's trying to find all the information. Okay, give me a second. It's looking. This is called bin, B-E-N, B-E-E-N. It's bin verified. Okay, and so I've got the address here now. Now I'm not gonna show it to you because this is gonna go on the internet, so I don't want everybody to go on looking at this. But I got a ton of information here about possible ownership. So you guys check that out. Possible ownership. I've got information here about tax history. Look at this one, possible liens. Okay, so this is a relatively cheap app that you can get on your phone, and you pay for it once a year. And once you pay for it, you have access to using it. It's basically a skip tracing app. I've been using this for years, even though I have PropStream, even though I have these other tools that I use. I love using bin verified because I can very quickly, very easily get the ownership information. When I pull up the owner, I can get access to phone numbers. So I called up this one phone number that was on the list. Pre-foreclosure, I looked through the window, called them up. The lady picks up. She's like, yeah, we own that place. My husband and I almost divorced because of that whole thing. We're just so sick of that house. We never want to have anything to do with it again. I said, well, it doesn't look like you've actually sold it in an auction yet. The bank hasn't sold it. Do you mind if maybe we could work something out where I just have you sign some papers? I'd even pay you money to have me sign these papers. If I can't do anything, then you keep the money. Now we're just talking about a couple $100, right? But I know enough about how to do this that I know if I can get an owner to sign a limited power of attorney for me that allows me to go and contact the bank and stop the loan, and I get that property under contract, I know almost for a fact that I can do something with that contract, whether it's subject to, whether it is doing some kind of a wrap. Maybe I just get the loan fixed and keep it as a rental. Guys, today money, the easiest way to get today money, meaning to get into a contract today that has the potential to make money, which, by the way, if I get this property under contract, then I could, even if I don't want anything to do with it, I can certainly sell that subject to contract with all the information to another investor in my area and charge $5,000, $10,000 depending on the deal, right? Of course I can. So you guys understand that pre-foreclosures are absolutely the best way to go. Now, be prepared to make a lot of calls. Be prepared to get told no. Be prepared to go blank yourself. You got to understand that. There's nothing that's easy. Nothing's going to get handed to you. But as far as the highest likelihood of getting into a deal right away, my money is on pre-foreclosures, always has been. I love door knocking on pre-foreclosures. I love helping homeowners. It feels good. Okay, why? Because I know what it's like. I've been there before. Okay, so that's my today money play. Okay, I love that. You guys have any questions on that? Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up. Give me something in the chat. Let me see something in the comments. I know you guys are still with me. I can't really tell on my end like who's all watching and how many people are here watching. The only thing I can tell every now and then is that that someone makes a comment and then I see you guys are still with me. So give me some feedback on that. All right, Jose's giving us a thumbs up there. Jose, good to see you on here today, brother. Peggy gave us something, but it's just blank. So Peggy, I don't know about that. Peggy did say this, and I want to second this opinion. PDX Renovations, guys, if you're in the Portland area, this is one of your biggest competitors. If you're trying to wholesale, do foreclosures, anything, this stuff is a mess. Okay, so Hey, look at that. Jamil Damji says, I rock. Perfect. Jamil, good to have you on here with us, brother. You guys know Jamil Damji. If you're not subscribed, if you're not watching Wholesale Hotline, if you guys aren't hanging out with Jamil, wherever he's at. By the way, Jamil was just on vacation with his family, so hope you guys had a great trip. But guys, this is absolutely, by the way, Jamil, I don't know if Jamil, you can comment if you want to, but Jamil, if you wanted to join on here, I would love to have you jump on here. I could invite you on if you wanted to. Just give us a comment. Absolutely, Peggy says, Jamil, you rock. That's right. So guys, the pre-foreclosures, door knocking, cold calling, the pre-foreclosure, in my opinion, is one of the best, easiest ways to get a deal under contract. Of course, Jamil, obviously, you guys know Jamil, and with the Astro flipping community, and what he does is he works through other agents and then kind of co-wholesaling. That's awesome as well. Okay, but for me and for my money, I love being able to show up on someone's front door. Again, you got to spend some time. Everything's going to take time. I like to show up. I like to be able to give them a flyer and say, listen, I can help you. I guarantee you that I can get you out of this situation, or at least try and give it good, honest effort. One quick question that someone asked me the other day is, what do you do when you have somebody who really wants to fix the loan, but they want to stay in the house? Okay. By the way, have you guys ever had that happen? You ever had somebody where you said, man, I know I'm in trouble and I know I got to fix this thing, but I want to stay in the house. Okay. I just knocked on the door on Saturday. Because like I said, I've been out there knocking on pre-foreclosures for a while. Knocked on the door on Saturday. Here's a former U.S. Marine. His daughter got sick. He's put money on credit cards. Then he got behind in the mortgage, trying to help his daughters with medical bills. A lot of bad stuff happened in his life right now. And he's like, man, I mean, you could tell this guy's just carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders, right? And he's like, I know I probably need to sell, but is there any way at all that I could stay here, even if it's just for a year with my family? So in that situation, he said, what do you do? Guys, what do you mean, what do you do? You try to help them stay, right? You try to get it to where they can actually stay in their property, if at all possible. Again, this guy's, served our country. Guy's clean cut. The house is nice. It's not a trash out place. His kid got sick. You guys try to help people wherever you can, right? Peggy says, love helping people. That's right. Okay, so if you can at all, and so my mind is like, okay, I asked the guy, I said, how much money do you owe on credit cards and how much are you behind on your mortgage? He's like, well, he's kind of doing some quick math. He's like, man, he goes, and he's like all embarrassed. He's like, I'm $100,000 behind on everything. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't know that you have enough equity in your house to justify that kind of loan, but I said, I'm going to see what I can do. So in my mind, I've been thinking about this all weekend. I know at church, like 2 or 3 different Marines, and I know a couple other guys. I was like, what if I could get 10 Marines to all contribute $10,000 a piece, and they would get 15% interest return on their money, and I could just take that $10,000 and I could secure it or collateralize that. First of all, use it to catch up the loan, like $50,000, then use the other $50,000 to pay off this guy's credit cards, and then we use that $100,000 and we collateralized it with the house. In other words, we attach it to in a second position to the house, and we say, okay, bro, you've got all of your debt wiped out. We own the house, but we're going to give you the option to purchase it back from us at the same price that you bought it from us for, plus 15% on this $100,000. So you're going to have to, we're basically giving him another $100,000. You're going to have to pay back $115,000, at least on the second part. But that way we can kind of get the loan going. He starts paying rent because he's trying to get his business going and stuff. So anyway, that's me. That's how I think about stuff. I'm trying to figure out some way to help this guy, because some people, they just need somebody to care. They need someone to actually contribute and give them something a little bit. So you guys, that's what you do if you can. Okay. Now, not every situation is like that. In fact, I'm not even sure. And I told this guy, I'm not even sure I can do that. But if I can, I will. And I'm working on that. So if you guys know any Marines that want to jump in, I'm gonna go 10 for 10. So I'm gonna go 10 Marines, all contribute $10,000 a piece to help one Marine save his family's home, stay in his home, and then have a plan to give those guys, every one of those guys that chips in $10,000, they get 15% return on that money in 1 year. So that's one thing I'm working on right now. Now, tomorrow money. Okay, tomorrow money. By the way, are we still good? I know we're kind of coming up. I try to keep these under 45 minutes, guys, or right around 45 to 50 minutes. You guys want to hear what I'm doing for tomorrow money, okay? I know Jose gave me a thumbs up here a little while ago. There we go. All right, you guys want to know what I'm doing for tomorrow money? Okay, let me tell you what I'm doing for tomorrow money. When you think about owning a property, and by the way, Jamil Damji was just on here. If you guys aren't familiar, Jamil has a great course, a great program for co-living and creating communities inside a single-family residential home where you actually have multiple people there living. Yep. Okay. So you guys have heard about that. All right. So what if I told you there is a way, and it's only in certain states, okay? So again, we're thinking about tomorrow money. You're not thinking about money that's transactional, something you can go and you can taste and touch it and walk through it today. It doesn't have to be like that, right? Today money is transactional. I like doing stuff locally. I like being able to meet people, talk to people, get the deal done, help the guy, right? With tomorrow money, it's not as important, in my opinion, for it to be local, right? It doesn't have to be right there in your hometown. So I say that because as a caveat to what I'm about to tell you, this thing that I'm working on is only available in certain states. Now, the state of Arizona is one of them. So Jamil, if you're watching still, you can do this, bro. Yes, and with Rahima, that's right, Jamil's sister. Okay, so in the state of Arizona, you can do it. In the state of Idaho, you can do it. I'm actually working on finding out every state that you can do this. And that is, how do I put it this way? It's called a different thing. So I don't want you guys to rush out and be like, oh, it doesn't work here. Okay, so follow me this. But how many of you guys know that the aging population in America is growing exponentially, and it's set to be the largest demographic in America in a very, very soon short future. I mean, it's like they call it the silver tsunami. You guys have heard that? Okay, have you guys heard about that? The silver tsunami, 10,000 people turning 65 every day, right? So how many of you have noticed where you're at, whether it's downtown Hillsboro, whether it's Boise, whether it's up in Seattle area? You guys have probably seen these residential assisted living communities going up, the big commercial ones, right? They're really beautiful. Okay, yep. Neymar says yes, he's heard about that. Okay. There's investors that are building these assisted living communities like left and right. Neymar's in Vancouver. So Neymar, right down there on the Vancouver waterfront, bro. Or actually, I don't know if you're Vancouver, BC, or Vancouver, Washington. I think maybe Washington, but right down there on the waterfront, Vancouver, Washington. Beautiful waterfront development, amazing, right? They took the city of Vancouver, genius. They took that total trashy, dumpy area where on the Portland side, you're looking over, it's just nothing but just dump and stuff. So they took that, they did an amazing development. Washington State, Freedom Country, right? So I could argue, Neymar, that Freedom Country is actually in Idaho, where I'm currently at. Of course, you guys know I do business in all over the Northwest. I'm in Portland every month, but and lived in Portland for 14 years. Just moved back to Idaho, so I'm in the real Freedom Country. Okay, Neymar, but in right down there on the waterfront, one of the latest developments down there is this big, gigantic, massive, 200, 300 room senior assisted living. Okay, so here's what I like to look at. I like to say, what are the big investors doing? Where's big money going, right? If I'm talking about tomorrow money, I want to look at what are investors doing today that's kind of showing me the direction. Well, there's a ton of money that's going into all things related to seniors, okay? And that's because the people are living longer and they're getting more sick, okay? Yeah, Kevin Smith says, Idaho welcomes Pacific Northwest refugees. That's right. I'm coming back to Idaho. I grew up in Oregon. My wife and I were married here 25 years ago. Still married, praise God, and thank you, Lindsay. But so we're coming back here to help her grandparents, really help my wife's parents take care of their grandparents. Okay, so in the big picture, I'm seeing a lot of money that I'm talking about real money, right? A lot of the real money is going toward building these big, beautiful new homes. Okay, and so for me, that's like, man, that feels a little bit out of reach, right? And I don't want to limit myself, and I don't want to have limiting beliefs and all that stuff. But let's be honest, at least as far as today, I don't have $10 million to go out and buy a prime location real estate and then build an 8-story, or a 5-story high rise, luxury senior assisted living place, right? I don't have that kind of money. Okay. But here's what I did find out. I found out in the state of Idaho, the state of Arizona, a couple of other places, you can actually house seniors in a single family residential home. You can house seniors, and you can actually do, and it varies based on which state, it varies, but you can do up to, in some states, 8, like the state of Idaho. You can house, I think it's 10 in the state of Arizona. And here's the thing, it's like co-living. It's the same type of model where you have like a single family home, just something that's, fairly, this is the easiest thing to build, is the easiest thing to get permits for, it's the easiest thing to find property to build on, okay? Single family home, that's the number one biggest demographic of land ownership and a designation in America. And so you can actually get these types of properties and you can build what is effectively a single family home, or you can convert an existing home into this. And instead of having just college students or travelers or the different people move into them, you can actually have seniors in these places. Neymar says, yep, that's, he says his ex-girlfriend worked in one of these homes. That's exactly right. And so from the standpoint of an individual, or maybe 2 or 3 people, or a family member, a couple people are going to kind of pool or collect resources together. Like Kevin here in Idaho and we're supposed to be meeting tomorrow to have just some more conversation on this. But if you think about building a big house or adding on to an existing house, and then making sure that you have enough room for at least 8 beds here in Idaho, and maybe even 10 beds, or 9 beds, so you can pay for someone like Neymar, his ex-girlfriend, people working there. Well, there's usually like a manager that you can kind of oversees the whole operation, because I don't want to be that person, right? I don't want to be, no disrespect to everybody that does it, but I don't want to be making sure that people took their meds and changing adult diapers and those types of things, right? Again, God bless those people that do that. And I'm certainly not saying I'm above that. I'm just saying that's not what I envision as being my ideal Monday through Friday, right? But I know that there's people out there that's their whole thing. They love it, they do it, and they actually have the skill set to do it, and they're looking for clean, healthy, warm, inviting places to do that work. And so what if, and this is tomorrow money, right? What if you built a residential assisted living facility, as it's called in Idaho, different names in different states, but it's effectively the same thing. It's a single family home that is built or modified to max out how many beds you can have in that one house. Let's do some simple math. Here in the state of Idaho, my wife's parents and we just found a place to put her grandpa, who is at this point in his life, he needs basically not full-time care like every minute, but he needs to have access to full-time care. So finding a place for him was difficult because there's a lot of need. Again, the silver tsunami, right? This is happening. There's people aging. People are needing help. They're getting sicker longer. So there's a lot of demand. So finding a place for them, they found a place in kind of an older assisted living community that was close to home for my wife's parents. And they got him in there with promising him that it was going to be about $5,500 a month. It actually turned out, with the different add-ons and different fees, it's $6,300 a month right now. As the level of care needs change and increase, that price goes up, but $6,300 a month. So imagine being able to provide a home, a bed with its own room in a house for something along the range of, let's just say, $4,500 a month. Now, again, you guys, I'm excited about this, and some of you guys know this. You've heard me talk about it, but let's just do the math, because I'm looking at what can John do, right? What can John own that allows me to not have to work anymore if I don't want to? Okay. And again, for a fairly cheap entry cost to get into it, and a very easy access. In other words, like it's easy to get the property, it's easy to get the permits, it's easy to get financing for this. If I had a residential assisted living home here in Idaho and I could charge $4,500 a month for a bed, and that would actually be a pretty good deal because we've seen what's out there and we know now. And I had 8 of those beds, that's $36,000 a month off of one property. Now, guys, you have expenses, okay? So we have like the Neymar's girlfriends, ex-girlfriends, sorry, Neymar. And let's just say we're gonna, have at least one person that's kind of like full-time living on site. So we work out something, like I said, I want to try to have a bedroom or a studio space that we can provide as housing for that person so they get to live on site as part of their pay. But let's just say we've got with the expenses of the mortgage payment and the expenses of staff and the expenses of all the overhead and the systems operations and paying someone to mow the lawn and all that stuff. Let's just say you've got $25,000 a month in total overhead, which is about what their numbers are whenever I look at it. Guys, you still have $11,000 a month cash flow after everything else is paid. So you've got 3 of those types of properties. Guys, your entire life is completely different than it is today, okay? So why am I talking about all this? Well, because I'm down here at the City of Eagle right now. I pulled up a residential building addition permit application because I am looking at multiple properties right now where I look at the property and I say, can I either A, do an addition to an existing structure and pick up 5, 6 more bedrooms, or can I build new on this property, even if it costs me $700,000-$800,000 to build new, which, by the way, guys, you can get that financing. Everyday people just like you and I can get financing for the right kind of new construction build. Now, it's going to be high interest, but you build something that's going to be running as a business, so you refinance it based on what the business makes, not based on your personal income or anything like that. So I'm looking at different things, and I'm down here at the City of Eagle in Idaho. I'm going through the application permit process. I found out with this particular property, it's 2 acres. It's in a very ideal location, and it's literally, I don't even have to go to a pre-application meeting to do an addition. Now, if I'm starting new construction, I have to do a pre-application meeting where I meet with the sewer department. I meet with the emergency department to make sure the fire trucks can turn around, all that stuff. But if it's an addition to an existing structure, I literally just fill out the application. I have a set of blueprints that shows what I want to add to this house, and I go and I submit it to the building and permitting department. And within 6 to 8 weeks, at least here in this jurisdiction, I have an answer on whether or not I can do that. Of course, I could probably have it sooner, but just figure 6 to 8 weeks tops. And I could be started on working on an addition for a property that is, yes, Neymar, you're correct. That's insane. It's like printing cash. That's how I look at it too. So again, is this like super easy? Is this something that is just like you just snap your fingers and it's done? No, but nothing is. Okay, guys? So what I'm out there doing is I'm door knocking. I'm dropping off my flyers. I'm hitting my pre-foreclosures. I'm calling people. I'm skip tracing. I'm saying, hey, I know you're in trouble at the bank. I'm sorry to hear that. I've been through it myself. I can help you with that if you want the help. I'm doing that because I know that if I get one of those deals under contract and I go and I sign that contract or I work something out with the bank and keep it as a rental, I've got one right now that I'm looking at. I've worked that out, and I'm looking at keeping that particular property and adding on to it so that we can do this exact model I was just telling you about. So that's today money. And then tomorrow money is doing something, building something or modifying something or owning something. Even if I'm just owning a part, even if I have like a couple partners where I'm just getting a third of that. Listen, I wouldn't mind having a third of $11,000 a month, right? I could certainly do well with close to $4,000 a month from one property, even if I have 2 other owners. You see what I'm saying? So collaboration is huge. That's why you got to get on these calls. That's why you got to get in these meetings. You got to go to these meetups. It's super important to get out there. Peggy says tonight is the Northwest RIA meeting on probates. Of course, that's with our friends Steve and Dave. So Dave Metzger kind of usually heads that up. I think they're going to have some different people come in. But guys, make sure you're getting out to the PDX REI group meetups. Put it on your calendar right now. Every 3rd Thursday in Portland, we meet in person. We have a great time. We answer questions. Guys, if you're not getting in a community, if you're not connecting with other people, if you're not saying, hey, you know what, I think I like that person, I think I trust that person, I'm going to vet them, I'm going to ask other people, but I'm going to go in and do a deal with that guy or with that gal, then you're going to sit on the sidelines forever. Okay, so don't do that. Get involved in something. Make sure that you're doing your thing. Okay, guys, you need to be in this stuff actively. Peggy says she's taking 2 people from my meeting to another meetup. That's great. You think I'm jealous? No, I'm not jealous. I want everybody to get out to these other meetings. I think it's good to go to these different meetups. It's good to learn from everybody that you can. So if you guys are interested in doing and finding out more about these particular types of properties that I'm looking into for Tomorrow Money, make sure you DM me. Let me know. You guys do apologize right now in advance. I don't check my messenger DMs all the time, but I will be looking more frequently as I go forward, because I know a lot of you guys have been asking about investing with me on one of the deals that I have in Portland, right down in Hollywood. I mentioned this. I'll just close out with this. I have a property, an ideal location, ideal little property, such a cute little house in the Hollywood district of Portland. And I am toying around with the idea of doing something, what I call a lend and learn. So in other words, you contribute to the overall cost of the renovation. The lend and learn is somewhat of a kind of a new venture for me. I'm going to try it out, where people lend money. You're going to get a return on your whatever you put into it. You're going to get a return on that money at the end of the project, just like any lender. But what I'm offering is an opportunity to learn with others. And as I teach you, like, how did I get this deal? This deal that you guys are investing in, we're going to do on-site meetups. We're going to go through stuff. We're going to do bi-weekly Zoom calls. Got a lot of really cool stuff planned for anybody that's interested in the lend and learn. Make sure you let me know. You can make a comment here. And then just getting involved in these projects in real time in your area is a huge benefit. Be careful. Obviously, I'm not saying just go out and do that with anybody, but these are the kind of things that I'm doing, and I love teaching. I love helping you guys understand this stuff. I love doing deals with you. So let's get out there and make something happen, right? Andy says this: how difficult is it to find staff? Are there enough out there? Well, first of all, we know there's people like Neymar mentioned that his ex-girlfriend worked in one of those types of places. Okay, so certainly possible, right? Neymar said his ex-girlfriend worked in one of those. So there's people out there that do work at them. There's people out there. These are it's a fairly easy entry type of job to get. In other words, it's not like you have to be super skilled to get into just being a caretaker. There's a very simple, most states have some kind of a simple application or a test that you have to do to get a certification. Peggy says she knows staff. That's right. I'm not too worried about getting staff for this thing, Andy, because number one, I don't need a lot of staff. I'm thinking 2 at the most for, take care of 8 people. And at 3 at the most, 2 is probably ideal. So one that lives full-time on site, and then one that kind of comes in during the day. And Peggy says she has access to lots of staff. So that's right. So I'm going to build a product, create a culture, create an environment that where people want to be there. There's a wait list to get into these types of properties. Remember, there's a smaller number of them, so it's kind of a level of exclusivity that drives up the demand. And then you have a very low, kind of a minimal overhead cost. So you're not having a bunch of different food services and towel services. You're not servicing several hundred rooms like basically a fancy hotel. You're just serving those 8 people in that one house. And yes, there's food involved, there's food prep, yes, there's laundry involved, but you get the people that are already in that business and they have great reviews, and then you pull them over into your business. And I think that one of the best things I had to offer is the fact that I can provide free, or at least very, very cheap housing for the staff and the caretaker that wants to live there on site. So anyway, I'm probably going to get Peggy one of these days to come over and just be my in-home caretaker. She gets free room and board, free food, right? All she has to do is do what she's already doing in the nursing industry. So does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense there, Andy. Guys, we're coming up on an hour. I'm gonna jump off. I appreciate you guys being here today. If you guys like this, maybe please, if you haven't done it already, go and subscribe. Right, click on the subscribe button. Share this with somebody if you guys enjoyed it. We're gonna be doing this every single Tuesday. My background might be a little different because I'm gonna be trying to show you guys every time I go on here live what am I actually working on today. So today it was getting the application meeting for the addition on the property that I'm looking at acquiring. And I'm just going to talk to you guys. If you have questions, feel free to ask them. I do go back and check the comments after the live. So if you guys have questions and you're watching this later, I'd be happy to go in and answer your questions. DM me, post your questions in the comments below. Share this, subscribe, do all that stuff. But guys, make sure whatever you're doing that you're focusing on your today money, and don't forget about tomorrow too. All right. Take care, guys. God bless. We'll talk to you soon.